NFT stands for non-fungible tokens, where the non-fungible term is basically representing any entity that is unique, that cannot be replaced with something else. So, for example, I can trade off a $500 bill against another $500 bill, right? But any specific number that is printed on that 500 rupees note, uh, that is the uniqueness of that note. And if I have an NFT against that unique serial number, that is irreplaceable, right? Next, moving on to the tokens part of NFT. So, token is nothing but a digital representation of anything that is either digital or physical in nature.
These are two of the largest NFT collections which are out there. And I have a screenshot of OpenSea, which is an NFT marketplace, which is one of the biggest NFT marketplaces. And just to give you an idea of what is the valuation of these, the two combined are over a $7 billion in valuation in market cap as of now, based on whatever I've read on the blogs. So what are these? These are assets, digital art that was created by some artist, and then these are being traded online as NFTs, as non-fungible tokens. So there are a few thousand of these bored apes, for example. Each one of them is unique, and many celebrities have bought one as an asset, as an art. And you might open a celebrity's page and might see that their Twitter profile picture is now a bored ape, and it's not just something that they put. They must have invested thousands, maybe millions of dollars in buying that image. So the image itself is not what is expensive. It is the ownership of that image, and that is what an NFT represents. So Mohsin talked about the token. So token you can think about as an address to that asset, that address to your digital asset or a physical asset. But that token identifies what that asset is and who owns it and what are the terms that govern that asset. So all of that is in that NFT token. So this is the biggest momentum in the art space, in the digital art space right now. But that is not where NFT stops. So beyond just trading digital assets and digital arts, there are some very, very practical examples which the industry expects would be mainstream over the next few years. And here are some examples, some very practical examples that I want all of you to think about, right? So imagine ticket to a World Cup finals game with a world record inning. So imagine any ticket that you buy. If you want to go and watch a movie, if you want to go and watch a match at a stadium, you don't go and stand in the queue anymore to any window and buy a paper ticket. In all probability, you take your phone, you go to some website and you buy a digital ticket, right? You get either a QR code or some booking ID, and then you go to the stadium or go to the movie hall, and then you show that QR code, and that's how you get an entry, right? So we are already getting digital assets as our tickets. Now imagine if those digital assets would be NFTs. There would be a few things that would happen with it. So let's say there was a World Cup finals match, and there were 10,000 people who were sold the NFTs as tickets. Yes, they could use the tickets to get into the match, but then there might be 10 of those 10,000 NFTs that would have a special privilege for the holder of those NFTs to get get into the presentation ceremony and a private party with the winning team after the match. And there might be 2 of those NFTs which also get an yearly dinner invite with the winning captain, for example, right? So all of those can be coded into the ticket, because this ticket now is an NFT, which is basically a smart contract. So you can define all of that. The other thing which you have to keep in mind in this example is, let's say there was a world record in this inning, and somebody scored, I don't know, 5 centuries, or I don't know, there was some world record which was made. Now this match becomes memorable, and the ticket becomes a memorabilia, which means it can be traded over time. So imagine you have that NFT, you can sell it to somebody else. You could trade that NFT, similar to how somebody's trading a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk right now. You could trade that ticket to that match. And the tickets, when they were originally minted by let's say the Board of Cricket Control, they could define that every time that this ticket is traded in the future, they would get a royalty. So let's say the match got famous, or like, you had your dinner with the winning captain, and now you want to sell it to somebody else so that somebody else can enjoy it and you can make money off of it. You could trade your NFTs and make money off of it, and the board of cricket, or whoever is the minting original artist, gets royalty off of it, right? So that's a very practical example. I would say, like, based on whatever I've read, based on whatever is going around, it will not be a surprise if in a few years every ticket to every movie, every show, every concert, every match is an NFT in a few years, right? Or another example, McDonald's receipt, right? Imagine every time you buy a burger, instead of getting a receipt on a paper, you get an NFT. So McDonald's can issue hundreds of thousands of or millions of NFTs to everyone, and everyone can hold those NFTs in their wallet, right, as a receipt to eating a burger at McDonald's. NFT and McDonald's could also potentially issue some special NFTs, let's say like a golden burger or a golden, can of Coke, and that will give you privilege to, let's say, lifetime, supply of burgers at any McDonald's, for example, right? And that would be a very, very valuable NFT. Again, the thing like that can be traded, right? And sold in the future if you wanted to. So that's another example. A third example, which Mohsin actually brought it up, I found it very, very fascinating and practical. And that's an example of more than an NFT. It's a smart contract, which is the underlying technology for an NFT. Imagine you have an ice cream shipping consignment going from one city to another, and the entire shipping process is monitored using IoT. What is the temperature inside the truck? What is the temperature inside the vessel? Or what is the temperature at boarding, on loading, unloading, all of that? How many times was the truck opened? And there can be SLAs around everything, right? And if the SLA is not met, if the temperature increases beyond the certain threshold, all of that can be governed by IoT. And if at any point, if any trigger happens, the contract is breached or the contract is executed, it would get executed automatically. So let's say you get paid as soon as the truck reaches the delivery. That can be tracked using GPS, and the smart contract can execute automatically. Or let's say the temperature increased than the certain threshold, then the smart contract would again execute automatically, and let's say a penalty would be caused, or things like that. So that is also a very, very practical example. So these things are going to be very, very practical in a few years, is what we are seeing with some of these very practical examples for solving business problems.
Thanks, Arpit. So let's talk about how NFT works. And in typical NFT journey, everything starts with an asset. An asset can be a digital uh, asset, or it can be a digital representation of any physical asset. That asset is then uploaded to an IPFS. The IPFS stands for Interplanetary File System, which is basically a peer-to-peer distributed file system. Uh, this is done so that the asset is available whenever the owner of the NFT, or whoever is trying to validate the NFT, uh, can access to that asset. So once the asset is uploaded to IPFS, it basically gets a hash, and that hash is further used in minting the final token, which is then added to the blockchain. But in between, we also need a wallet. Typically, we have a lot of option for wallet, but one of that wallet is called MetaMask. And what this wallet does is it basically assigns the user a unique address, so that all the different kinds of asset, be it a cryptocurrency, be it an NFT, can be basically linked to an identity. So we connect to a wallet. We then add the hash of the original asset, and based on the smart contract specification, it again generates another hash. This process is basically the minting process, where you add metadata of the asset, the asset identification, plus the ownership information, and create another token. So that token is what we have minted, and then that minted token is added to the blockchain. And once uh, the token is added to the blockchain, one, it becomes impossible to change that identity or the ownership information. Two, it is also available for public because the blockchain works on a distributed, decentralized network. So everybody has copy of what transaction has happened. I'll talk more about this in next few slides. Let's jump into the marketplace demo. So this is a very basic demo that I prepared. Um, So I'll start off with showing you the MetaMask wallet. We have already configured two users. One is the seller, the other one is the buyer. So right now we are on buyer, and let's go to the seller. And right now I'll try to sell some digital asset. So I can put it screenshot. Uh, I can put any value, let's say 25 Ethereum. Now I'll choose, uh, let's suppose I'm doing this. So this is right now uploading to IPFS. Once it is uploaded, there will be a request to charge for creating the NFT, the initial NFT. So as a process, every time an asset is minted, there is a gas fee involved. So you can see this, there is a gas fee which I have to confirm. Once that is done, then uh, again, once it is minted, I also want to put it on the marketplace, or basically add an information in the NFT that this NFT is available for anyone to purchase. So again, there is another gas fee that I have to pay. And once I do that, uh, this is basically uh, put on the marketplace. So hopefully we should see that this is available. Now I'll switch the user, and I'll try to buy it, and I'll show you that process as well. So let me change it to buyer, and now I'll try to buy it. So again, I'll get a notification in my wallet that I have to authorize this transaction, and 25 Ethereum is what I'll be paying for the asset. But again, there is another gas fees that is involved to basically support the transaction in operation. So once I confirm this, this basically goes out of the marketplace, and it should be available in my digital assets. So now I can see it is in my asset.
So one thing I want to call out real quick. So thank you so much, Mohsin. Excellent demo. So one thing I want to call out is this is very different than buying an asset from a website, let's say like Getty Images or Shutterstock or anything like that. So all these stock footage or stock image websites have lots of digital assets that you can buy, right? But then what happens is when you buy an asset, right, you get it, but the original owner also has it, right? Or if I send an email to you with an attachment to an image, You get a copy of it, but I also have it. But what is happening here is, when you're transferring the ownership from the buyer to the from the seller to the buyer, the seller no longer has it, the buyer got it. And that is the unique thing about the blockchain, and trading this as an NFT versus just sending art over email or sending an asset over email, and then doing the transaction, because then you no longer have it, the other person has it, the ownership is changing.